So it's been way too long since I've spoken about Godzilla on this channel, and with 2 new shows I thought, why not go back to my favourite kaiju franchise? And with over 30 films to date, Godzilla really does not need any more, but it almost had at least one more film with Wolfman vs Godzilla, the most famous Godzilla fan film, which, by all extensive purposes, is completely lost. So far, only tiny bits of footage have been able to surface, and throughout the video, I'll be using the Godzilla vs. the Wolfman fan intro and surviving footage video from YouTube, created by YouTuber Zach Wild Holland, so please be sure to check out that video after watching this one. Now, the biggest question when it comes to a lost movie, or even some kind of lost piece of media, like the previous Alien and original versions of Child's Play, is what could it have been? What could this have done for the franchise, but then never really got the chance to? And the other big questions is, why was it made and who by? What was the plot? Why was it lost, and will it ever be released, since this is one of the very few which is finished with all the footage still surviving? And hopefully through my research I'll be able to answer those questions for you, so let's get straight into the Lost Godzilla fan film. The film was created by Shizuo Nakajima, a fan of the franchise who had previously made a fan short film titled Wolfman vs. Baragon, which is also kind of ironically mostly lost, and he ended up working for Toho itself on both Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla as an uncredited production assistant. Following the indefinite hiatus of the franchise after Terror bombed hard at the box office, Nakajima wanted to make his own film since Toho couldn't decide what to do with the series, and hired future Godzilla talent Shinichi Wakasa to make the Godzilla suit, something he would later do from Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla 2 all the way to Final Wars, a good 10 or so years working the main franchise. As well as Funuki Shinada, who designed the monsters, something he would later do for 2001's GMK. There was also Akira Ifukube's tracks used in the film, although it's not very clear on if he was actually involved in the production, or, and the much more likely version, they took his stock music from the previous movies and shoved it into this one to make it seem much more Godzilla-y, which does make sense, especially the Showa era really overusing his music at times. Now, despite many places claiming multiple Toho staff were involved, I can't find any proper sources for this, just a bunch of news articles stating it without actually stating where they got this information from. So I'm guessing it'd be true since the film began production many times between 1976 and 1983, and since a lot of the production staff were quite angry that no more Godzilla movies were being made after Terror, since it was just stuck in development hell, it is more than likely that some other staff members were involved in the making of this. It's just not confirmed who it was, apart from those 2 who would later go on to join the franchise. Now, there's approximately 10 hours of footage that has been made for the movie. It's unclear why so much was made, but it's more than likely a lot of it is reshoots and reshooting previous scenes to make it look better. And the original film itself actually consisted of multiple shorts from the 1970s until 1983 when filming truly took off. So it can become kind of confusing at times, but Nakajima states he would splice the old and new footage together from the 70s to the 80s to make it feature-length, which does make some sense, but honestly, the timeline for when this film was made is very confusing, and I still don't fully understand it even after doing all this research. But basically, yeah, it was a Godzilla diehard fan like most of us, who was unhappy that his former bosses didn't know what to do with the series and wanted to make his own entry, which is kinda nice if we're being honest. Now, the plot of the film is kind of difficult to track down, but from what it seems like, the film would have centred around a werewolf who begins to mutate due to nuclear radiation. Yeah, I know, it's a massive shock for this franchise, and he grows to kaiju size before battling Godzilla in the countryside, and that's kind of all we know. I'm not really joking there. I mean, according to IMDb, there were 2 human characters who currently have the names of the man and the lady, so yeah, they're the most in-depth characters we may have actually had for a long time. But in good news, apparently Godzilla would go back to his more anti-hero days, still being the king of destruction, but also being the lesser of 2 evils, similar to his portrayal in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, which would have been pretty cool. But like I said, apart from that, not much else is known about the plot. There's a lot of theories about what the plot could revolve around, but if we're being honest, most plots in a kaiju movie just set up why 2 monsters start punching each other in the face. Now, this is where my personal issues with Toho really come into play. Essentially, Toho when it comes to Godzilla are complete arseholes. Ever wondered why there are so few Godzilla fan films or homages to Godzilla? And yeah, that is all completely Toho. They're the main reason why this film never saw the light of day, at least in my opinion, and in the opinion of literally anyone who's ever had to deal with Toho. Now, due to the use of Godzilla being so prominent in the film, Toho was very unhappy about it, and have openly stated many times, A, they have nothing to do with it, and B, they never approved the film to be made, and that part there is the key, in my opinion, to this. Now, just from my own experience with Toho, as well as what I've heard from multiple YouTubers who have covered Godzilla, Toho are ridiculously protective of the character. On my channel, I have so many Godzilla videos, and if you've ever wondered why most are extremely blurry, it's because that's how edited the footage had to be for Toho to let me release the videos. Yeah. Just going to show you a quick edit. This is what it would normally look like if I edited it the way I wanted it to be. This is the way Toho requires it for me to even be able to put it onto YouTube. You can't even tell what it is, so there's almost no point in having it in background footage. Now, when it comes to fair use on YouTube, there's kind of 3 things that you need to do, and all of my videos very, very clearly do this. Now, my work is transformative. The clips are usually cut up in certain areas to not be one straight line of a single clip, and even though they've already been edited quite significantly, it was never good enough for Toho, and they even once copyright struck my channel, which is something that lasted for 6 whole months and has only recently gone away, which is very irritating. With my experience, it's more than likely that Toho in the 80s may have even threatened to sue Nakajima for making this film, meaning he ended up not releasing it, which honestly sucks complete ass. And honestly, as much as I love the Godzilla franchise, I do not like Toho and their complete lack of respect for their fans. I mean, could you imagine big fan films, such as Never Hike Alone, being taken down because Paramount and Horror Inc. didn't want fans to use Jason? It's just really dumb and goes way past protecting an intellectual property and more just hating anyone who cares enough about the character to spend their own time and their own money doing something with it. That's the level of stupidity Toho has, and the reason why I honestly think this film was never released and ended up being counted as a lost film. Now, this is the only question I honestly can't answer. In 2016, it seemed like the film was getting ready for a release finally, as interest in the franchise had peaked by the double knockout of 2014's Godzilla and Shin Godzilla, and when asked about a release date, Nakajima stated it should be out on DVD in 2016, but you know, we're in 2020 now and still nothing on the film. Instead, we only have some short clips to go by to see what his vision of the film is. However, it should be noted that this is the closest we've ever been to seeing the film getting a release, and we have now got clips of it, so at least we know it is real. It's not just fans making stuff up about a Lost Godzilla movie. It does exist, and the director still seems interested in releasing his nearly 40-year-old fan film, so honestly, who knows? Maybe one day I can add Wolfman vs. Godzilla to my DVD collection and count it as a proper ending to the Showa era, since we never got a definitive ending. Or maybe I won't, and maybe the film will just remain lost forever. It's definitely not the first time a movie has been lost, and it certainly will not be the last time in this insane industry. Look up the Golem trilogy, for crying out loud. That's insane to me, but still, it is a huge shame for us fans of the franchise, especially those who love the Showa era most, and even though I do prefer the Heisei era quite a lot myself, it still would be cool to see how the most dedicated of fans were able to create their own Godzilla movie. And for this episode, compared to all the others, it may still be released, which is something I cannot say for the other 2 entries that I've done so far. And it's exciting. I really hope it is released one day, and I really hope that Nakajima is able to show everyone his vision of what a Godzilla movie can be like with no budget. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Yeah, I decided to do a Godzilla because I like Godzilla. I don't know why, I don't do more with this franchise, because there's so much to talk about. It's one of the biggest franchises in history, it's one of the longest running, it was the first ever cinematic universe, etc. But, I don't know, I decided to branch out. Next month, we're going to be covering all the stuff to do with Sleepaway Camp, since it is Pride Month, so I thought it was right to do Pride stuff with pretty much the, gayest franchise in horror. And the only one that truly has like an LGBT antagonist that isn't overly sexualized, as weird as that sounds, because that does seem to be a thing with LGBT characters, especially female ones or trans ones. So yeah, all Sleepaway Camp next month. I adore this franchise apart from Return to Sleepaway Camp, but it's going to be very fun to cover, especially when I do the Lost episode all about the weird fourth movie. I've seen it, it's terrible, mostly because it's unfinished, but yeah, it's confusing. So until then, please be sure to like, share and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and I will see you all next week. Oh, also Tuesday I'll be releasing the final part of the Hunger Games Godzilla. I didn't do it this Tuesday because it's my boyfriend's birthday. So until then, goodbye!